That much money then.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be next week though.
I mean, we're talking about a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and then, you know, I'm only 16.
Now I got afraid of all state.
I'm willing to get it done before I head out of town.
October 16th?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll
yeah.
be.
Here's your
I
last.
just have clients at that.
Yeah, just give me your availability for the next 30 days.
Do you have your email? Or-
I do not have one on. I'm a horrible, yeah. Brian
Two bets, minimum bet.
at Rabel, RABAL, yeah. Shoot me, hey, give whatever, you know.
I'll give it 2 or 3.
And if not, we'll see, because I mean, here's the deal, I may not be available, and rest assured, I want to be there.
Yes, certainly.
We're gonna go ahead and get started this evening with the City of Centerton Planning Commission, September 17th, 2024, with a roll.
Joey Eagle. Devin Murphy. Craig Williamsburg. Jerry Harris.
Here.
John Sessoms. Ben Lewis. Tony Davis.
Here.
Brenda Swoboda.
Here.
Here we go.
Oh, shouldn't say Brenda. Sorry.
Give you credit. John did notify me. I think he's doing some military stuff, so he did send me a message. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our meeting of 9/3/2024.
Gary, I'm not going to approve minutes. 9/3. Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes. Is anyone opposed? All right, next is the ratification of the admin approvals. There's 2. One is an office and administrative use. The other is some sort of delivery service, hobby, collectible. Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners or staff on the admin approvals? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the admin approvals.
Motion to approve admin approvals.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, under new business, we do have one public hearing this evening. The first one is a public hearing. It's for conditional use 2413. And if I do not say this correctly, I apologize, for the Spezia Home Preschool, in-home preschool at 521 Astor Street. It is zoned R3 single family. It's on 0.19 acres, and the owner applicant, I'm not even gonna try, so I apologize for that. So is the applicant here to give me an overview of what you're asking for? If you'll come to the podium and just give us a quick overview.
This is Sweta. I'm here on behalf of the license permission for my home preschool at my home. My home is located at 521 Astor Street, Centerton.
How many kids are you at?
I'm planning for, right now I'm planning for 8 kids.
8? Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. We'll, if there's questions, we'll call you. Tara, you want to give us an overview?
This property is located in the Southwind subdivision along Kimmel Road. Access to the street is, across the street is the dunes at Prairie Valley. This property is zoned R3SF. The applicant is proposing an in-home preschool which falls under residential childcare per our schedule of uses, which allows for up to 8 children and requires a conditional use. The interior space that will be used is approximately 669.34 square feet, which includes the living room, bedroom 2, which is the bedroom closest to the entrance of the home, bathroom 2, which is the bathroom closest to the entrance of the home. The covered porch / entry and patio / backyard will also be utilized. The zoning requirements are noted in your packet. The property is adjacent to R3SF zoning, which is Featherston Village subdivision, and R4MF zoning, which is the dunes at Prairie Valley subdivision to the south, and A1 zoning to the east. The property can be accessed from Kimmel Road to the south and Walmack Road to the west. All streets in the Southwind subdivision are public streets with sidewalks. The home is connected to Centerton Water and Sanitary Sewer. 2 parking spaces outside and 2 parking spaces inside of the garage are provided with each home in the Southwind subdivision. The covenants for the Southwind subdivision state that only home, businesses, or occupations allowable are those permitted or defined by the codes, regulations, and ordinance of the city of Centerton. Covenants are a private agreement made between the POA and residents and are not enforceable by the city of Centerton, except for the sections that expressly name the city, such as maintenance. Term of approval is requested for an indefinite period of time from date of planning commission approval. Planning commission has the authority to set a specific expiration date if they so choose. The hours of operation include drop off at 8 AM. For the half-day programs, pickup will be at 2:30 PM, and for full-day programs, pickup will be at 5:30 PM. Number of occupants should not exceed total capacity allowed by building and fire codes. Per Title 14, the business cannot exceed 8 children at one time. Requirements will be made by the fire department and will be met before a business license is issued. This will include a fire inspection. Owner is to accept liability if non-ADA compliant. Outside storage of materials or equipment shall be kept in fenced yard areas and screened from public view. The applicant's required to provide all required license and permits such as their DHS license and obtain their business license. The building must meet current building and fire codes. The applicant must notify the city before making any changes to the approved layout, narrative, and conditions, and requests may be subject to reapproval. Should any issues arise which can affect public health, safety, and welfare, this permit will be subject to review by planning department or code enforcement. If any complaints are received from neighbors or city personnel, this permit may be brought back to the planning commission for consideration of amending terms or revoking the permit.
Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners before we opened up to the public? And I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
There was one public comment that was made.
We got it via email.
And we got it via email.
This is Tony, I make a motion to open the public hearing for the CU 24-13 home preschool.
Second.
Motion is second to open the public hearing. Is there anyone that's opposed? We are now open to the public. Is there anyone that wishes to speak, have any questions or comments in regards to the public hearing 2413 for the home preschool at 521 Astor Street?
And I had one person that said they did want to join via Zoom, but they are not on here, so.
Second call for anyone who wishes to speak. And third and final call for anyone that wishes to speak.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for conditions 2413.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there anyone that's opposed? You have I don't have the email that was sent in.
I'm trying to find it. Was it in the packet? You don't see it. Hang on 1 second. I can get.
Okay, it was from Kesha Zafino, and it said, I own a home in the subdivision and oppose the application CU 2413 to have a daycare in our community. This is a residential area and should be used as such. Additionally, our covenants put us all on notice that this was not allowed. See attached covenants, which we addressed the covenants.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If you didn't see, they did lay out a very nice business plan that talks about the overview, which I think was up on the screen just a minute ago. Talks about the business overview, their mission statements, the 2 services that they provide from a full and a half day. Also their meals and snacks and their curriculum that they plan on using.
So it looks like the covenants refer it back to the city code for allowable home businesses.
Yep.
Okay.
And quite frankly, we can't
Yeah.
do much about the covenants. That's between them.
So I need to just catch up on a couple things.
Have we ever approved something like this before?
Yes, there's probably 2 or 3, 4 that I remember in my 20 years on the commission that we have approved.
And it was similar to this, I mean, just in a neighborhood, up to 8 children.
Yep.
Hours were the same and all that, and our code allows for this conditional use in this type of residential neighborhood.
It does. And they have to, of course, meet fire code, so, you know, they'll have to be out there for an inspection. It's a conditional use, so if it becomes a problem and we get a complaint, then we would revisit, you know, if that complaint comes in. So that's the reason that we do the conditional use.
Has the commission before set a timeline for this as well? Because right now it's asking for an indefinite period of time.
I don't think we have we?
I didn't do the research to see.
No,
I don't-
we haven't done any of that or.
You can set one now either way.
Sorry, multiple people are talking, what? I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
Not that that one, because it was kind of considered a business, you know, like a license or something like that. So we didn't put any, I don't remember putting a time frame on it.
What's the downside of approving something like this? I mean, traffic in the neighborhood, you know, noise complaints during the day from the residents. I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, traffic is typically what we've seen in the last one, if I remember right. There were a couple of people that talked about traffic, but we, you know, we don't know if people could be walking, you know, could they drive? There's 2 different drop-off times, so we don't know, you know, what those are gonna look like exactly, but they do provide for parking in, you know, in their driveway and or, you know, a drop-off on the street, so.
Have we ever had complaints where they've been brought back for reconsideration?
No.
I'd say the only thing I think of, and I know I mentioned like when I reviewed, is that it's like parking there is you have the width of the driveway. If everyone's coming right at 8 AM. We'll get complaints about parking in subdivisions, but usually it's because of the subdivision design. They're in curves with homes in it and not usually about anything going on with businesses. So I think this one had a 3-car garage or no?
It looks like you could really put 4 in the driveway just based on the
Doesn't sound like
picture. I mean,
anything like that, and
And
you're trying, a home could have 6 cars. So it's like, someone could live in a house with 6 people that have 6
that was
cars.
the first thing I looked at, Brandon. It looks to be far away from the main
Mhm.
entrance off of Kimmel.
Yeah,
does that help? Does that answer?
yes, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from any of the staff or the commissioners?
Did the staff have any reservations to this when you reviewed it?
As long as building and fire inspections happen, and when they, like before they get their business license stuff, they'll have to have them out, and building will let them know exactly what they need for their entries and stuff like that. So we knew that, like on planning side, we didn't see any issue with it. They followed the inspection process.
This is probably the most detailed one we've seen,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
with the curriculum and some of the things.
Definitely.
We've always had an outline of the house inside and things like that. Typically, that's something that staff asks for, so we can see what that looks like, and it also helps fire and everything else, so. Yeah, this is probably one of the more complete ones that we've seen. If there's no more questions or comments, then I want to entertain a motion for the conditional use 2413, the home preschool, in-home preschool at 521 Astor Street.
Y'all motion to approve conditional use 2413 Shweka Home Preschool.
Joey, a second.
Motion and a second. Samantha, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Tony Davis,
Yes.
Ken Lewis,
Yes.
Jerry Harris,
Yes.
Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Jimmy Engel,
Yes.
Jeff Safer.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Good luck. All right, next on the agenda this evening is subdivision 2405, Silverleaf Estates Phase 2 final. This is at 12910 Bush Road. It is zoned R3 single family, 18.3 acres, 75 dwelling units. The applicant or owner here to give me a quick overview.
Good evening, I'm Dustin Hagan. We were the engineer for this project. This is the final plat for Silverleaf Estates. It's lots 129 through 203. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say. Just if you have any questions, just let me know.
Will do. Kayla?
Yes, so this is the second and final phase of Silverleaf subdivision, which is located along Wade Drive across from Westridge Village, with that's to the east. The density is 4.46 units per acre. All major comments have been addressed and the site passed its final inspection. A re-inspection isn't required. All the street improvements have been completed and the bond amounts have been approved. Covenants were approved with phase 1. The bond amounts are in your packet for you. Streets and drainage is at 50% for 2 years. Water and sewer is 50% for 1 year. We have received the issued bonds for that, so we have those now. For the streets, Wade Drive is designated as a minor arterial with a planned right-of-way of 9 feet. 45 feet of right-of-way will be dedicated with this final plat to meet that master street plan. Wade Road was improved to provide 24 foot of pavement, 1.5 foot gravel shoulders on each side, and a 5 foot trail along the west side, along the subdivision's frontage. There are just a few minor comments left on the final plat regarding updating signature blocks. The record drawings and drainage report have been approved. We're just pending final copies of those documents for project closeout. One thing to note, lot 157 of this phase is designated for a future clubhouse, and for Title 14, clubhouses require a conditional use permit. So they have submitted their conditional use and large scale plans for that clubhouse, which you guys will see that lot again to approve that. If you have any other questions, you know.
Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If there are not, then I would entertain a motion for subdivision 2405 Silverleaf Estates, phase 2 final.
This is Joey, I'll make a motion to approve the final plat for subdivision 2405.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there anyone that's opposed? All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is subdivision 2121 Meadow Ridge adjacent street agreement at the northwest corner of Keller and Seba. It is zoned R3 single family, 43 43 acres, 165 lots. Is the applicant here to give us an overview?
He's on Zoom. Let me get to him over here to unmute him.
He's got another planning commission meeting tonight that he's also a part of, so he's jumping between items.
He's stepping out and,
Tim, we're ready for you, sir.
hey, Tim.
Hopefully they're not having him talk at the other one right now.
Might be. They're happening at the same time, so. Yeah, we're good.
All right, Kayla, why don't you just, I'll let you start and then if Tim joins, we'll.
I'll keep it up here. You can see if he hops on.
Yes, so you guys have seen these plans a few times. Few planning commission meetings ago, you guys approved the extension of their preliminary plans. We just had their pre-con meeting last week and found out that they have acquired the property that they were missing along Seba Road. So with that, they're planning on developing that as part of phase 2 of this subdivision. So their adjacent street agreement needed to be updated because we were gonna cost share with them for that portion of Seba Road, but since they now own it, we don't wanna do that anymore. So this is just to get that adjacent street agreement amended, so they'll be required to pave that portion that they were going to pave previously.
Is that with the first phase? It's all coming together?
So Seba Road, all of that will happen with phase 2. The Seba Road improvements, so they'll do all of Keller Road improvements with phase 1, and they'll dedicate right of way for both streets with phase 1, and then they'll do the street improvements for phase 2.
Kayla?
Hey, Tim.
Hey, sorry, you step out here away from my meeting. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions?
So Kayla was just giving us a quick overview. I'm assuming you're aligned with the adjacent street agreement update, the piece of property that you guys acquired.
Yes, in fact, I got Mr. Smith, the developer. He signed it and we returned it back to Taylor later today, so she should have a signed copy.
Okay. Well, if you want to hold on, Kayla's gonna finish her part and then we'll be right back with you. Okay, thanks.
Sorry to interrupt.
So they'll do all the improvements along Keller Road and dedicate right of way for both streets with phase one final plat, and then they'll do the construction of Seaver Road with phase two. So they were released for construction for phase one. They'll have to have a whole nother pre-construction meeting for phase two because they're gonna add some lots along Seaver Road on that property. Just a few other things to note since we're here. The other piece of property that they don't own along Keller Road, they are still missing their 2 easements for drainage and it's electric. But to cross that property, they're working on procuring those easements. And when we did the pre-con meeting, they talked about moving the water lines out of the street. So they're working on their plans for those minor details to get the water out of the street.
Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners on the update?
Just curious, the rationale on SIBA for phase two.
But with that is that before there was that large island.
Sure.
Where we're doing the cost share, we have to count for that in our budget, but also when we're looking at building phase two. It'll have those construction entrance off of phase two, off the back, so then we're having all that construction traffic coming through town, over all what we just paved, going through that. This way we can hold off on paving that afterwards, and also doesn't have to require doing phase one the realignment of SIBA. When all the other work is occurring on the other half of this project site. So it's kind of just coordinating the timeline with it and making sure that road lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah. It just seems disproportionate compared to the improvements. If it were half the subdivision, I get that, but I don't know, what are we getting, 6, 7 more lots out of this and a whole road? So, in worst case scenario, right, they don't do phase two and then we don't have them.
The SIBA road improvements, we're always gonna go with phase two. But the other ones that, whether projects are phased, the improvements were done in a phased portion. I'm looking at Featherston for one. There's one I remember where they're doing those improvements in 3 or 4 phases.
Maybe I'm looking at the phasing wrong. Is there more involved in phase two than just this new piece of property?
Oh yeah, phase two is,
The first 99 lots and phase two is 55 lots and another detention pond.
Thank you.
so there's a good significant portion with that. So with this one, you will eventually see a change order. For them to add that lot, it's what are they gonna find the easiest for the grading?
I actually talked to Tim about how they want to
perfect.
connect that road. They just want to take it straight through. So that cul-de-sac right there won't exist anymore. They'll just take it straight across and connect.
Which is what we kind of talked about last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I think to Joey's point, like, what's the timeline for phase one finish, phase two start, and SIBA being completed? Because I mean, traffic's gonna increase once phase one is underway and houses are sold and people are starting to come, and so, I mean, how do we push for phase two to keep going so we can get SIBA done?
It's on their timeline. I mean, trying to do the phase two improvements, the SIBA realignment, because that entire road is being shifted to take the steep 90-degree curve where there's just could be stop sign to flatten that out with just shown there. So all that road has to be prepared for road base and everything else. It's not just the typical paving wide on an existing roadway. So it's going with that when that work's occurring, going off that side. It's just trying to do.
This is not gonna change though with now the purchase of this property?
Alignment, no. What's different now is that there's a 330-foot gap that we were going to give the cost share to pay for the paving of that portion. So the whole thing didn't get beat up. We need it paved anyway, but now that they bought that, they're gonna end up adding all those lots so they can pave their frontage again now. And that's the biggest thing to change this, really the only change to the agreement is taking that cost share out.
So it's gonna save the city $45,000.
Yeah,
And the right of way is gonna be,
That wouldn't-
yeah, I mean, I understand the logic and.
and all of the right of way for Seba and Keller is being dedicated with phase one.
In phase one.
Phase one.
Yes, yes, thank you.
There's no more questions or comments that I would entertain a motion for subdivision 2121 Meadow Ridge adjacent street agreement.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, under other business, development 2406 Centerton Security, preliminary plat and plans at 974 North Main Street, zoned C3, 2.8 acres. The applicant here to give us an overview of what you guys are asking for.
Yes, sir, my name is Ryan Hanson. I'm trying to purchase the property, temporarily use it as an office space for the next 3 years. And develop, as Centerton starts to develop, we'll develop with Main Street there.
Okay, are you gonna use both sides? It's the house, right? That's there.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna purchase the whole property and be the whole house. Haley, you want to give us a staff overview?
Yeah, so this item is mostly for discussion about the site and street improvement requirements, so. The parcel is located along North Main Street, it's that white house along Main Street. That they turned into a duplex and now they're converting back for business, it's because it's zone C3. So they're requesting to use the property as is temporarily with minimal improvements for a period of 3 years, and then at that time, develop the full property. So it's zone C3, the setbacks are listed in your packet for you. Something to note that the existing building does not conform with the front setback requirement due to the right of way being dedicated along North Main Street with the previous track split. So that building encroaches into the setback, I think like 3 feet or something. So per Title 14, that building can't be added onto or repaired in any way that would increase the nonconformity. For utilities, the existing structure is on municipal water with a septic system. Centerton Utilities has stated that no water and sewer improvements will be required at this time based on the intensity of the use. However, if the development expands or the use changes to anything other than offices, the water and sewer improvements would be required at that time. For the street improvements, it's located along North Main Street, which is designated as a minor arterial with a planned right-of-way of 90 feet. Right-of-way dedication has already happened, so they dedicated their 45 feet of right-of-way last year. The applicant is requesting to delay street improvements until such time as the whole parcel is developed. Street trees are being provided on the development plan. So the big question for this is, should they have to do their street improvements to Main Street now or later when they develop the full property? Should they have to do sidewalk right now or later? So that's one big item for discussion. The other item that's really big for discussion is the parking. So per our current code, the parking requirement is 1 space for 200 square foot of building space, which required 19 parking spaces. The ICC recommends 1 space per 300 square feet of parking or office space, which would be 13 parking spaces. In this current development plan is proposing 9 parking spaces. And that's approximately 1 space for 422 square feet of building space. So they're requesting to provide 9 parking spaces at this time due to the temporary use of the building before it develops in 3 years. Their current development plan doesn't have any lighting proposed or it's not shown on the plan. For landscaping, a bioswale is located along the west end of the parking lot for filtration of stormwater coming off the parking lot and entering the drainage ditch. They also are proposing street trees at a spacing of 1 per 25 linear feet and shrubs. And that's within a 15-foot landscaping buffer along the frontage of North Main Street. And so after discussion, if you guys should determine that minimal improvement shall be allowed at this time, there are some conditions that we would recommend for being placed on this large scale development. So we would recommend that the development plans be revisited in 3 years, at which time the developer may be required to complete street and site improvements per Title 15. And then should the use change before that 3-year period is up, the new use shall require a large scale review. We recommend no outside storage of materials be permitted, no additional pavement shall be permitted on site without a new large scale development review. No building additions shall be permitted and no additional buildings may be permitted on site without a new large scale, which would require site and street improvements. And we'd like to put the condition on that the development cannot be eligible for minor site improvements because that insinuates that they're expanding. And at the time that the site does expand, or if the use changes to anything other than offices, water and sewer improvements will be required. Happy to answer any questions, and there are some street view pictures in your packet for you, just to give you an idea of what the street looks like right now with that building.
So, Brian, can you walk me through like the whole business, like what's it involved? What are the hours? What do y'all do? Things like that, just so we have a few more details.
We do armed security. We have about 9, sometimes 10 that home office. We're not forward facing or back facing at all. We don't have people in the office or my admin staff. We're just looking for an office, and this place kind of fit our mark. I live here in Centerton. And we just would like to buy it, minorly develop it back into an office, and develop this as Centerton grows into a large scale development.
So how many I was trying to make notes. How many employees on site? Just 1? 9 total.
9, yes, sir.
At any given time, or is that just come and go?
Come and go, yes, sir.
Do you guys do installation as well? You guys do installation as well?
No, sir.
We're
We're armed security. So
Armed
all-
security.
All of my guys are in the field.
Okay.
I was wondering what that meant. What you were going for there, Jeff?
You'll be safer.
What are
now
they
if they're
installing?
In front of you there.
That's true.
Yeah. I thought it was alarm security, so thank you. So no. Okay, I got it.
But your staff does come there?
Will there be any company vehicles? This is all just.
Just employees' cars.
What are the questions you guys have that I'm missing? I was just trying to figure out how many people might be there at any given time.
I don't see it called out anywhere. I could have missed it. Are you paving this?
We've asked to rock it.
And it looks like you're taking out one of the circle, taking out one, utilizing the southern one, and then pulling your parking off of that.
The apron's an improvement though, right?
Apron's concrete.
The concrete apron is an improvement, right?
You do any on-site training or anything at that facility? Would that be your plan?
So you're not proposing to pay the parking lot then?
You pave the parking lot? What did you ask?
He's asking about he's asking about the surface of the parking lot that's proposed. And so what they're proposing is a new concrete apron entrance, where that gas word is, where the gas line runs underneath. So their proposal is to come in and put a concrete apron, so that would keep rock and debris and other stuff from getting out into the street. And then they would add this parking lot here that I think Diane is kind of circling there, or yeah, so they're gonna build a parking lot.
It's gonna be gravel or rock.
That's their proposal is gravel. Again, if they're gonna improve the whole thing, they're asking for a 3-year to have it as gravel is what they're asking for. And then today there's a circle drive that goes in front of the property, and I guess your proposal is to cut that off. Is that the way I understand it? So you'd basically pull in, you'd park on one side. And then they would have a handicap spot is what they have designated up front right now.
So, my concern is 3 years. Because we've got property for sale on the corner, that's zoned commercial. that could be sold and developed and street improvements and all of that, and then, you know, we just keep moving down and there's all this development and then potentially stuck with you sitting right there on Main Street with no improvement to the street for 3 years. That's my big concern. You
There's a
know,
gap between them though.
I know, yeah, I know, there is a residential, yeah, I understand.
We potentially end up with something worse. I mean, I don't know. I'm on the fence on it just because of that. I mean, you got, obviously you have this commercial and we've signed up for commercial in this area for a reason. I mean, understanding Main Street. But I think we end up with if we're not careful, we end up with a gap. So what do what does the
Yeah.
improvement even look like? And
And what does it do? It's the only improvement on.
On the entire Main Street, I know, but at what point do we start that process?
and we don't, and it's a state. So it's even, so then you have to go through, what will the state allow? So there's lots of questions about
Mhm.
what ultimately Main Street even, becomes. I know there's been some discussions between the mayor and the state, long-term, what does that look like? So I'm on the fence on making somebody improve it today, knowing that there are absolutely no plans for the state to do anything to
So-
that road right now.
So let's play that out, just hypothetically. Somebody purchases that corner lot.
Yep.
Okay, it's commercial. They want to come in and they want to put in some kind of a retail. Okay.
Yep.
Are we gonna require them to do street improvements and everything, or are we gonna allow them to wait until?
And I think
there's a
that-
better plan?
And I'm not trying to play a favorite piece here, but a
Yeah.
corner where there's potentially a turn signal and a turn lane,
Yeah.
in my mind, plays out a little bit different. And I'm not a street guy. I'm certainly relying on
There's some
Tony
out
or
there.
Tony or, Joey to think about that. And I think that's also part of what the issue is with the property across from that, okay, that has the daycare and some other stuff, because of that corner is so complicated. I think I look at them two different ways, but again, I'm not a street guy, and if Tony
Tony,
or
correct me if I'm
Alan.
wrong, but let's play this out on the corner. Town View would be a city road. So they would build it out to whatever we said.
Correct.
Main Street is not a city road, it's a state highway.
Right.
So
Right.
we don't build anything.
All we can do is make them dedicate the right of way.
So then how can we approve his request? Because does he now have to go to the state and ask them not to improve this property?
No.
Got confused then, because we're just talking about how.
He's dedicated, the right of way has already been dedicated.
Yeah.
That's the highway.
And that's basically all we can do. What would staff ask, what would the road improvements be?
Sidewalk. Cause isn't there normally like, there's the 40 feet for the road and then for the RDOT right of way is 40 feet on their side, and then there's 5 feet. That's not RDOT, it's ours. They could put a sidewalk in that.
So we're talking about sidewalk.
That's really the biggest.
And then it's the only sidewalk that exists
Right,
on
right.
that side. It's a sidewalk to nowhere. I mean,
But I think we all needed to hear that clarification. Because I don't think we had that piece of, that's not, that's not a consideration here, that is. But at what point, and okay, this is what I don't understand. I don't understand the process. So at what point does RDOT come in and force some kind of street improvement on a commercial property?
They wouldn't, they would build it.
They don't, RDOT doesn't.
As long as the right of way is there.
They build it.
so if they decide they're gonna make Main Street let's just say 3-lane.
Right.
Then they would need the needed right of way,
Okay.
and then they would do everything.
So again, let's go back to hypothetical, somebody purchases that corner lot, okay?
Yep.
And we require the improvement on Town View, because we can't do anything with the Main Street. Is there a sidewalk right there currently? On Main Street?
On the other side, no.
Yes. On Main Street, on that side?
Not on the east side, is there?
The west side corner, not the
It is on Town View, but not on Main.
Correct.
If someone comes in and wants to
Yes.
purchase that and develop that and put a
Yes.
retail spot there, are we gonna require
If they were to, when they do their development, then yes. Similar to in 3 years, if he wants to do a development, change this building, things like that, then we would require him to put the sidewalk in at that time.
And if at 3 years, he comes back and says, hey, we're not quite ready yet, we want to maintain what we got.
And we can ask for sidewalk. Here's something I would, if I'm picking up what you're putting down, this is more of a investment type deal. You want to see if this grows and see if that's something you can develop. I would propose that if we have sidewalk on any end of this that gets built, that's when we should continue the sidewalk down this parcel. And I think that's fair. While there's nothing for it to go to right now, there's no need for it, right? It's just sitting out there and it's kind of really close to your office.
But if something happens between now and that three where there is developed, can we put a condition in this that he's required to put in a sidewalk?
We can.
I think you can.
And
So that.
It would be on city property, in city right away. It wouldn't be on state. Yeah, on that. Right now.
If they came in and redid the road years later, do they tear that sidewalk out off Fayette? That's the point. That's my question.
We want continuity in the sidewalk on this corridor. There's a lot of children trying to get to school.
Oh, sure. But they have to be there first is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So here's what we're saying. So the property to the, I'm just gonna give you a hypothetical. The property to the north of you is a home. And they actually just invested in their home. They put a new driveway and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Unless somebody comes in and offers them a ridiculous amount of money and it changes to commercial, then there's probably a pretty good chance it's not gonna develop into something commercial or them at a sidewalk. What these guys are saying, what they would like to see is if the corner lot puts a sidewalk in and the lot north of you puts a sidewalk in, then the request would be, let's say it happens within the next 3 years, the request would be for your development to add a sidewalk for the continuity that gets us closer to the neighborhood that's down the street. That's the condition that two of the commissioners have requested that we put in this tonight.
And you're very likely that the state could come do it all anyway.
We just gotta get to 28, right? Isn't that what you said, Alan, that the state was looking at 28 or longer to do
Put him on record.
Main Street?
It's not on their plan at all at this point, but we keep pushing on it because clearly it backs up. It needs to be improved. And it's how do we get to that point where they start the.
We wanna do what's best for the city, guys. We really do. I just don't wanna invest 200,000 in sidewalk and see it in the ditch, back of a truck a year.
and you shouldn't unless it's been done around you. I just don't want to be hamstrung to where we said no sidewalk for 3 years and then a year and a half goes by. We've got sidewalks on both sides of you and then we got an agreement that we have to stick to when we would prefer you to go ahead and finish it out and have it develop Main Street. So that's my,
I mean, if I'm a betting man, I don't see that.
I agree.
don't see that happening, but we're trying to protect the best interest of the city as
Will
well.
there be a time limit on like, okay, you've gotta have this done in the next 180 days, or gonna be like, hey, we need this done by the end of the month?
It's,
I understand the time.
and I think that's a great question. I think we should discuss that here. And there's a lot of factors. What time of year is it? Is it in the spring when it's raining?
right.
I think the 6-month period to get it installed is fair.
I'm great with that. I just want to give us, the option to, bring it all together.
If you do it 6 months after completion, he's gonna get more notice as well.
Yeah, because they're gonna be.
He's gonna see people, construction, so,
The likelihood it happens is probably real low.
Kayla has a question.
From when?
are you guys saying both sides of his property need sidewalk or just one side?
Just the one side.
So if either side gets sidewalk, his needs to.
Because if it comes from the south, then maybe the city has some funds to take it to the north to get kids to that intersection where they can cross. I know. We're just saying what ifs, man, right?
Highway department's gonna do a lot of work.
I know. Realistically, I don't see it happening, but I think this is the best for everybody.
I don't either, but I think it's a good point. I mean, we've approved other gravel, if we know there's an intent to develop, it doesn't worry me a whole lot. We are gonna
I'm
get the
okay with the
improved
concrete
apron.
apron. That was the one thing I didn't pick
We're
up
gonna
on
get the-
concrete apron.
We're gonna get the improved apron, which is nice.
Gravel right now.
It is gravel right now. So.
Alan, have you looked at the bioswale? Does it cover the impervious? I don't even see it on here.
Yeah, it's not on that plan, actually. It's what was discussed when they came in for pre-development. It's not really there. But truthfully, looking at your BMPs, this whole thing goes to the southeast. It's more so that with their landscaping berm on the south side of their parking lot or landscaping, to actually build that into a berm.
Channel it.
So that way it actually goes further east, because The aerial is just, you can see the farm pond it all drives or drains to.
It doesn't drain to the farm pond. It drains to the neighbors to the south in their, into the detention pond off of,
The farm pond to the east does all that.
I'm telling you, it doesn't drain into the farm pond.
Aerial back up.
All right, hang on, let me fix the screen.
Alan,
One thing I will say is.
I lived at 810 for 13 years. Show you pictures of about 10 foot of water because it floods in the back. And I'm not saying this changes it any, because a lot of the water comes from the north side of this property, but it all ends up into the neighbors.
On the contours for you too, sir.
But will the expansion of that improve that?
It's not gonna change. They actually did more damage to it whenever they fixed the drainage across up in the north. They made it worse.
So what I'm saying is where the parking lot is right here,
Some of it could go into the farm pond.
all that there, you're saying drains due south.
It drains to the south and the east.
I can see all that low spot through the farm pond, where the farm pond over tops keeps going further southeast and does flood that property there. But just where that parking lot is, if you put a berm on that parking lot where the grades are, that's gonna continue towards that pond right there, right along that road.
If they berm it the right way, it should, yes.
That's what I was saying when I reviewed, they do it that way. Honestly, the grass swale and going through all that's your better BMP to protect everything that you're gonna want compared to anything else here, and bioswales are ridiculous maintenance costs, and if you don't know what you're doing for maintenance on them, they're gonna fail within 5 years.
Better than that.
Okay.
So berming it, I think, is a better thing for what they're proposing with the difference. I mean, the only impact is adding that gravel.
Yeah, but they're also removing some, right? So.
I mean, it's a net increase, but the total change is gonna be negligible when you look at this whole thing.
I was just making sure you thought it was feasible.
Yeah. So, but the actual bioswale, it's not actually proposed. It's one we talked about, but wasn't instilled with this plan.
I guess the last thing is parking.
I guess the biggest question would be, do you think you're gonna expand more than 9 people in the next 3 years?
I don't know. But you know how that goes, so.
And you're good with also like, I mean, there was no outdoor storage or anything of that nature. You're good with that because that's part of that. Should make sure. And then any kind of trash or anything of that nature is.
That was the question I had. What is your plan for trash? Or is it just like
I assumed it would just be management picking it up, but
a bin?
I don't know if there's a.
I see
You're gonna have dumpster, are you gonna have a like a big dumpster, do you think, or just a regular?
Assumed a regular trash can if we needed to, we do too, but there's a ton of trash.
I wonder if some crazy chance that you need to something bigger than that. I wonder if we need a contingency in it that it would be fenced.
I think he would have to come back.
Have to come back for that? Okay.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that plan doesn't work out, then we'd see you again.
Okay.
So my question is, Alan, maybe you know the answer to this, will there not need to be some kind of pipe or something underneath the concrete apron there? Looks like, cause he's closing that circle drive off, and just using the one to the south. It looks like in that picture, there's a slight ditch there. But I don't know if he needs a pipe underneath his driveway or not, or if he's going to do well, going across, cause water, y'all say it drains to the south. So we don't need a concrete apron to dam up and flow into the street.
Will he have to get it approved by RDOT anyway, cause he's changing it or not?
Yes.
I mean,
You need to put in the concrete.
Yeah, he'll have to get a right of way permit from RDOT to put the apron in, that's right. You would be required to get a permit from RDOT for like.
It's that process.
you're asking it wrong. Well,
RDOT
Tony probably knows, but.
RDOT District 9.
Paperwork and.
Paperwork and some plans. If you're having Bates do
Speak
the
Linda, go.
drawing, they can help you with that.
Yeah.
There's probably a pipe under there now, if I had to guess. But that driveway's been there for a long time.
Pancake.
Are you doing any signage or anything? Signage?
We should probably put that in there though, just, well, because that, we always put that in all of them, that it has to be approved or whatever.
Separate permit.
And then what's the landscaping plan?
Second page of the plans.
And trees out front.
And then is it shrubs around the,
Mhm.
Right now, it's just shrubs right there.
around the parking and then trees and.
Shrubs, the greenest trees.
And that's the other part where the berm on the south side brings that up another foot.
That's great. And then lighting wise, I mean, business hours, you don't need any additional lighting?
I think I'm okay with it, with that, with those additions.
So we're okay with the 9 parking spaces.
I am. I mean, I don't wanna add extra impervious area for no need with the temporary use.
Could develop it in a year and then we'd be more excited. I don't know.
So my question on the parking is, since that our parking is technically a Title 14 requirement, you would need to do a variance, right?
When he brings the large scale through.
And the reason that we're doing just the 9, because I mean, we're doing a gravel and he's got to expand it and all that. The reason we're only doing 9 is because there's not enough, is there not enough space to do more than that?
I think there is.
I'm
Well,
just curious on why we.
how close-
They're requesting based on their use, on how many employees.
It's just cost for, I mean,
That's the primary.
it's the cost of it.
He's the expansion piece.
and you're getting close to the barn there, aren't you? Aren't you getting close to the barn?
It's gone, I believe. And
Did it fall down finally?
they tore all the outer buildings down.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
So any expansion on that just pushes that parking lot further and further east.
And if you needed it, you can come back and request for additional. So we'd have to do a variance on,
When it comes back. Yeah.
Can you just run that concurrent with the large scale? Are there any issues with the conditional use saying that the parking is okay before there's a variance?
True.
I think that requirement
This
is.
is just a discussion.
yeah.
This is just
It's
a,
yeah.
just a discussion, yeah. I think the parking is separate from these conditions we're laying out. That'll be a variance.
Okay.
And if
But the
they-
variance shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody, but based on the discussions tonight, the variance should not be a problem. But understand it's a process that we go through. And there's discussion that you know, it's paperwork. And it helps if we discuss it now versus you come in next time and we're not aware of it. Anything else? Okay. So we don't need to do anything tonight, right? Just wait for the final large scale development and the variance. Okay, all right. Well, thanks for the discussion tonight.
Any more questions for us? You good? Any more questions for us?
I guess what is the process? The variance process? Will we come to the next meeting, all our
I don't know if it
paperwork?
can make the next meeting.
Actually, I think it can because they only have a week, public hearing requirement.
Would you not run it concurrently with the plans?
I think we can get these plans cleaned up before the next meeting.
Because they've already turned in a development.
Oh, they have?
This is their large scale plan. It just needs some clarifications.
Okay.
So as long as we can get Jeff Bates on board to get those changes done.
There's a public hearing process, which they can walk you through. There's notification, got to put some signs in. And our next meeting is the 3rd. So if you can meet all those by the 3rd, I don't make the agenda, but if you're nice to them, they'll put you on the agenda. And we would have a variance, and then we would go through the large scale development. But based on everything we covered tonight, you have the direction on a little cleanup here and there for that. Then you should be good. That's the process. I mean, it's really just whatever they need finished up and cleaned up, then
It's the application.
yeah.
I'll reach out to you tomorrow with the information.
Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate y'all.
Yep.
Just a curiosity, because what we're trying to do is get him in a position to where he can purchase his property. We can't purchase his property until, obviously, you guys say it's good to move in, you got it fixed. That's kind of where we're at. We're just trying to figure out when that process might be, when we might be, because we still have somebody in Colorado that owns this. Until, here's when we can close.
You should know by the 3rd.
Oh, it's gotta go to council after.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So the 8th is the council meeting.
The variances don't go to council.
Nothing goes to council then.
Nothing has to go to council.
Nothing goes to
Okay.
council.
So you still have to go to
It's not-
council?
There's no conditional use.
It's a variant.
It's gonna be a variance, okay.
So the 3rd.
Yep.
Just don't-
You don't see three.
So we should hopefully have an approval on the 3rd, and then we could set a closing date shortly thereafter. Is that? kind
That's
of-
how you want to do it, then
I mean, just based on, you guys would be theoretically, you
Yeah,
can't, okay.
we're not gonna say anything to that. We can't say anything to that.
Everything goes smoothly after the 3rd is our,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys. Good luck. All right, under announcements, Mayor Bill.
Yes, good evening. At our last council meeting, brought to the council, this league now offers some online training. It's called the ACE Hub program. We have incentivized our council to take this additional training at its cost. We also want to extend it out to the planning commission. Not mandatory, but it's a good opportunity to get this additional training, learn a little bit about municipal government. What, where, it has planning. Different things in it. For each level you complete, there's a $24 per month stipend. Training, you sign up for each module is the first one, which consists of 50 hours, is $50. Sign up for it, get your receipt, everything to me, I'll have you reimbursed. That's not a problem. Get more information, go to the Arkansas Municipal League website at arml.org. And then scroll down to the resources and more tab. And you'll see one that says educational opportunities, and it'll explain everything. Yeah, we just want to offer some training. I know that we've talked about some training with our staff and planning commission. Some of our staff does it also, and I've had, so it is a good opportunity. No in-person training, it's all online.
If we're nice to Samantha, maybe she'll send directions out to us.
Yeah, or you can give a video, we can do it. Yeah, it's just on the website, real self-explanatory. There's video there for you to do, show you how to do it.
Was trying to write and I didn't, so, but yeah, that's a great opportunity.
arml.org.
I'll get with Samantha.
You can listen to recordings later. I'm sure some people.
We'll send it out.
And it's all self-paced. You know, you just do it
Quizzes.
on your own time and we're like 15, 20 minutes long.
So it's a great opportunity. I know lots of us have full-time jobs, so it's a great opportunity for everybody to learn and a little extra cash if you ask. So thanks, Bill, for doing that. The next planning meeting is the 3rd. If you can't be here, let us know. After that, there's a plan, or the council meeting will be the 8th. Then there's a tech review meeting scheduled for the 19th. Anything else from staff? Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? Thank you, guys.